Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for Ask the Expert. I'm Catherine, and I'm the virtual coordinator for the National Aphasia Association. The National Aphasia Association is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote public awareness and understanding of aphasia, to promote research that aims to improve the lives of people with aphasia, and to provide support to all persons with aphasia and their care partners. This fall, our Ask the Expert series is focusing on mental health, wellness, and aphasia. Tonight's expert is Carol Dow-Richards, who will be sharing about the lessons she learned on her care partner journey, including how to manage care partner stress. We've been collecting questions about tonight's topic through our website, and we'll be answering many of those questions tonight. If you have any other questions about tonight's topic for our experts during the session, please enter them into the Q&A box, and we will try our best to answer those as well. And now I'm honored to introduce tonight's expert. Carol Dow-Richards is the founder of the nonprofit Aphasia Recovery Connection that works to help end the isolation that aphasia brings with programming, education, and events. Carol understands firsthand the psychosocial impacts of aphasia, as her son suffered a massive stroke over 24 years ago when he was a child. Carol and her son David work to raise awareness and have appeared on Good Morning America, The Doctors, People magazine, and the Stroke Connection magazine. She received the Innovator Award at the Aphasia Access Leadership Summit in 2023. Carol, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and now I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you all of you that are here to learn together. I'm going to go ahead and start to share my screen. So give me just a second. All right. So we're going to be talking about lessons I learned on my journey as a care partner and some of the effects, and talking a lot about stress. I think we all know that that's a big, big deal. So I want to welcome all of the care partners to this session tonight. It is about care partner stress. And like Catherine said, my caregiver journey started when my son, David, had a stroke in 1995. So who is this session designed for? It's really designed for care partners and related professionals. If you have aphasia and you're here, you are welcome to stay. We are glad that you're here too, because we really do see that relationship as a partner. But this topic is really designed for the care partner audience and experience. So first, let's talk about, why am I using the word care partner, not caregiver? Well, the word caregiver assumes that we're going to give care. The word caregiver loads all the responsibility on one person, the giver. It may imply that your loved one is a patient, and it often replaces your role as a partner to a caregiver. This identity can impact the relationship and sense of self to both of you. The word care partner, a care partner partners in care. Care partners share the journey. The word partner focuses on the teamwork of both of you. This word makes the person with aphasia a partner, not a patient. So it's a different mindset. This mindset shift often results in better relationships. Your loved one is a partner, not a patient. This is powerful to their sense of self. Build on their strengths, not on their weaknesses. The goal is their independence, not dependence. And this helps avoid the sense of what we call learned helplessness in your loved one. Because so often, and I was very guilty of this, we do everything. David didn't have to do the dishes. I was asking him, do you want something to drink? Are you hot or are you cold? I did everything for him for a long time. So he was learning to be helpless because I was giving all the care. He was the patient. It took me a long time to realize that David could do a lot and learned helplessness had no place in his recovery. So it really takes two to tango. Dr. Audrey Holland once told me, if you met one person with aphasia, you met one. So we have a lot of people here in the audience tonight, and every one of you is different. No two are alike. It's like a fingerprint. Everyone's journey is different. So we have people here tonight that are dealing with different types of aphasia. Some loved ones can read, some can't. Some can write, some can't. Some people struggle to understand language, some have no problem, and many have trouble speaking. But no two are exactly alike. Some of you are working, some of you are retired. Some of you have a loved one living with you at home. Others may have a loved one living in a care home or in a skilled nursing facility. Some of you are spouses. Maybe you are an adult child and it's your mom or your dad who has aphasia. Maybe there are some of you here that are parents like I am, and your child or your adult child has aphasia, or maybe your brother or sister. So we're all coming together tonight from a variety of different situations. But one thing that we probably all have in common as care partners is when our loved one was discharged, we probably all felt this. I know I did. Unprepared. It was unpredictable. And I felt unsupported. And I have a screen freeze. I'm going to stop sharing. All right, I am having an absolute screen freeze and my
Can I help, Carol? I'm wondering if she may be having an internet issue. Let's give her a minute. The joys and tribulations of these online meetings that we've all been enjoying for the past few years. We'll just give her a minute to rejoin us. And as a reminder, folks can put any questions that you have in the Q&A box. We would love to be able to answer your questions related to being a care partner for someone with aphasia.
Catherine, can you make me co-host again?
Yep.
I have total screen freeze. Did it happen on your end too?
I am here and I think things are smooth on my end, and now you're back. I see
Now,
you.
all of a sudden, my screen totally froze. My face was frozen. I am so sorry, everybody.
No
So
worries.
let's
No
get back
worries.
to where we were. And I
Right.
apologize for that. Hopefully, it won't freeze up again. We have good weather. I don't know what the issue was. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. We talked about being a care partner and how we're all different. And I think this was a slide we were on.
Looks
So
good.
when David was discharged, I felt unprepared. Life became unpredictable, and I felt very unsupported. So tonight, as we work together, we're going to have an agenda. And what we'll talk about this evening is the impact of aphasia on you as a care partner. We're going to talk about managing stress because believe me, I know you have it. And I'm going to share some great resources with you that you can use as a care partner. And then we'll have time for some care partner question and answers. So what I'm going to suggest you do now is, if you can, grab a paper and a pencil, because I think the best way to attend this webinar or any of the Ask the Expert sessions is to listen, learn, and plan any action steps, so that while you're learning, you're also creating change that can create positive solutions in your home. So let's all aim to find maybe 3 things that might help you in your role as a care partner. So, what are some of the impacts of aphasia on you as a care partner? Now, I know I faced almost all of these, and I bet you are too. Let's just look at a few of them. There's physical and emotional impacts. You're often doing so much of the physical care, lifting that wheelchair into the trunk, helping with transfers, helping with showers. In addition to that, you're probably handling a lot of the personal affairs, paying the bills, managing the insurance, scheduling the doctor's appointments. So much is falling on you. Then you add the household tasks. So maybe she used to grocery shop or he used to grocery shop. And now there are things that somebody else did. And now you feel the weight of you're trying to do everything. And it is indeed a lot. There may be some sense of role reversals in your home. And this is one that I think I struggled with, my own identity as a care partner. We often talk about identity for the person with aphasia. We know that that is really, really impacted, but it also impacts you as a care partner. I know for me, I had a business and I had 8 people working for me. And when David had his stroke, I had to close my business and become a full-time care partner. So when I looked in the mirror, I was like, who am I? This is not the life I planned. This is not the life I really wanted for us. And my identity was challenged for a very long time. There's also the impact of job loss. I know for us, it went from 2 incomes to 1 income. So it could be the job loss of you as the care partner. It might be your loved one's loss of job. So there are financial consequences to the aphasia. Then let's face it, there's a lack of awareness. Sometimes we feel a sense of stigma or embarrassment because other people don't understand aphasia. They don't understand that your loved one is still thinking, they know what they want to say, they're still smart. And so we often have that same burden of trying to educate others. There's a lot of burden put on you as the care partner. Then we often feel fear of social situations. because it means we have to get out of our comfort zone and try new things, which means we are going to risk failure. And often that's because we don't have the supports in place for trying those new things. And often society doesn't have good supports in place either. Then there's the impact of lack of training, of learning strategies to help support your loved one. There's a lack of understanding strategies to support communication at home or in the community. This is true for many people, especially when first discharged from the hospital. Sometimes we feel we are learning. There's a saying called baptism by fire. We learn by experiencing it. I will tell you, I thought I understood strategies well. I thought I got it. And it wasn't until David was in a session up at the University of Michigan where they put David behind a two-way mirror, where I saw someone work with David and use great strategies and really could expose his competence. And then I realized how very important it was for me to have training, for me to understand the strategies. That made a big difference in the frustration levels in our own home. How many of you feel like this? There's the impact of being the driver, the scheduler, the medicine manager, the insurance manager, the cheerleader, the cook, the cleaner, the bill payer, and more. I know I used to wake up and feel like I was two people because I always had to know what David's needs were as well as my own life for years. Then there's the impact of lack of available support or feeling that there's a substitute. What if you get sick? What if you need some time? And then this is a tough one. And I think this is one that often we don't talk about because it's the hardest one of all. And that is fear. What if something happens to me? How will that impact my loved one? So that in itself is a lot, but there's still more because there's a huge emotional impact. And I can relate to everything I'm about to share with you because the consequences of living a life with all of those stresses added to you as the care partner has consequences. And there's a ripple effect of chronic stress, anxiety. I know for me, I was very surprised about 4 years in. I was at the library. I thought I was having a heart attack. At the time, David could say maybe 5 words at a time. He still struggled to read and write. He was about 14 or 15 years old. And when my heart started to race, I went into that fear. What if something happens to me? What will happen to David? And I went to my doctor's office and he said, Carol, you're having a panic attack. So the anxiety was huge dealing with aphasia for me and for my son. We often face times of depression. And again, it's something we don't talk about a lot, but I think many care partners can relate to this. We have a sense of being overwhelmed. There might be some sleep issues. I know for me, sleep was really hard. And one of the things that happened with me is I put all my stress in my teeth. So I would clench my jaw at night and I ended up with really bad TMJ. Some of you might relate to this. Some people, your stress might be in your blood pressure. Other people, it might be stress eating. For me, it was clenching my teeth when I slept. And then certainly there's a level of grief. We didn't lose our loved one, but there's something that we did lose. I lost my job. David lost his childhood. For you, it might be the loss of the connection and the saying, I love you, and doing the things that you did as a couple that were so vibrant before aphasia came into your lives. So, of course, there's going to be some level of grief that we as care partners also feel. So, isn't that a downer? So, we've spent a lot of time talking about how hard this is. But I hope that's helpful that you know it happened to me. I know it's happened to you. And it's important that we validate what's going on for care partners. So often we spend time talking about what's going on with the person with aphasia, but you're a partner in this, and we need you to be strong because it's together that you and your loved one can forge forward in a more positive way. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not even saying we can take stress away. What I am saying is, let's talk about some ways to manage this stress because it is a lot. So, some of the building blocks of support for care partners include seeing the person first, not the aphasia. So, when you see your loved one, is the first thing you think about is their aphasia? Or is the first thing you think about is, I really love my spouse or whoever it is? Do you see them as a person first? A person with aphasia? Or is the aphasia in front? I would suggest see the person first, not the aphasia. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we can work on, setting some targets. So you can aim for better coping skills. Often we know what some of those are, we just don't do them. So we can set goals to cope better. We can aim to learn strategies to reduce frustration and stress for both of you. But we have to learn those strategies, don't we? You have to take the time to learn the strategies. You can find strength in sharing your experience with others who are on the same journey. And when I share resources, I'll share some ways that you can do that. This is a big one. Forgive yourself and reject guilt. You can't pour from an empty glass. And when you need to fill up, so often we feel guilty. You've got to take care of yourself. And that's easier said than done, but it's really important. And I'd like you not to feel guilty when you do need a break. When you feel like, I can't do this another day, it's really hard, and you try to find something to do for you. Try to do it without that guilt, because you really do need some space to breathe. Expect a better tomorrow with realistic planning to move forward on the journey together. So don't live in a gloom and doom, but expect a better tomorrow. This one's important. Create a plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. I'm going to say that one again. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Do you have a plan? As a care partner, have you ever thought about the strategies, the plans you make, and how you might be able to organize and prioritize a little bit differently to reduce that stress? Let's talk about that a little bit more. So, we've talked about some targets of things we might do. Let's talk about some goals. And if you have a pen and paper, I hope you're writing down some things that you think you might be able to start to tackle and make some changes. Give yourself time to rest, reflect, recharge, and regroup. Give yourself some time. So often we put so much stress on ourselves that we don't think about that plan. We don't think about the strategies. We don't think about prioritizing. We're just on autopilot of stress. Take a breath to evaluate, rest, reflect, recharge, and regroup. Get support from friends and family. Talk to your doctor, join a support group, get some support. Reevaluate realistically what you can and cannot do. What are the priorities of the must-dos, the want-to-dos, and maybe someday you can let it go. So it's reevaluate realistically. Things have changed. You can't always do everything yourself. Take time for yourself. It is not selfish. Get a walk, get some fresh air, have a chat with an old friend. Recharging is self-care. Now, I hear all of you already. You're saying, a walk? Yeah, really. A chat with an old friend? I wish. My friends have dropped off the face of the earth. Have you asked for help? Ask for help. Get a walk and some fresh air. Have a chat with an old friend. Here's how you might do it. You want to take a walk. Ask a neighbor, ask someone you know. Say, I have been dealing with this aphasia and it's new to me and I'm feeling a lot of stress. I just feel like I want to go on a walk, 15-minute walk of fresh air. Would you mind coming over and having coffee with my husband so I can just grab some fresh air? 15 minutes. That would be so helpful. Do you really think they're going to say no? Or how about a chat with an old friend? Let's say you're a care partner, that you're a couple, and you have other friends that were couples, and you just don't see much of them anymore. Why not call them? Ask your girlfriend, say, hey, I'd love to have coffee with you. Why don't we let the guys have coffee at the house? You and I can go to Starbucks just for half an hour, 45 minutes. I've missed you so much. Do you think we could schedule that sometime next week? But we don't do that, do we? So I'm going to repeat this. Ask for help. It's okay to ask to reconnect with your friends. So here's a picture of David when he had his stroke in 1995. You can see even his little face was paralyzed. And here he is today. So it's been a lot of years for us. What I'm going to share next is some of the experiences that I had and some additional lessons that I learned. First, I had to admit, I cannot do it all. I cannot do it all. I had to ask for help. So I recruited help. I had someone come in and bake cookies with David once a week. I had another friend that once a month, I asked her if she would take David to his physical therapy appointment. I did all the other driving. but once a month, I had a break. I recruited help because I asked for it. I didn't always wait for people to offer it. I asked for it. To me, this is the most important slide of all. I got rid of the shoulds. What do I mean by that? When David had his stroke, our life changed. When your loved one got aphasia, your life changed. And for a long time, I put additional burden on myself. Like I would say, I should buy everyone holiday gifts and wrap them beautifully, and they should be the best gifts of all. Or could I get a gift card? I should have a really clean closet because that has always mattered to me. Did it really matter? I should write handwritten thank you notes to everyone who stopped by. Or could I just send a quick text and say, thanks for stopping by? So often we go, I should do this, I should do that, I should do that, should. Your life changed, and some of these shoulds need to go away. You have to learn to prioritize. This is especially hard for those of you who tend to be perfectionists. I am not, but if you are, this is really hard. But you have to breathe, and you've got to get rid of some of those shoulds. I also sought help for the stress. I told you earlier that I had a panic attack, and that was when my doctor said, Carol, I think you could use some help. Up until that point, I was afraid to even ask for help because I felt guilty. Like, shouldn't I be able to handle this? Why am I still so anxious? Why do I sometimes feel depressed and sad? Why are my teeth clenching at night? I needed help, and I finally had to admit it. Next, I'm going to tell you my most shameful moment in my caregiver journey. I usually don't share this, but I decided I'll share it tonight. This was my big fail. So David was around 10 or 11, and just like probably many of you, we played a lot of charades in our house. I couldn't figure out what he was trying to communicate, and communication was breaking down. He was getting angry. I was getting frustrated. It was going nowhere. He was next to tears. And the next thing you know, what did I do? I grabbed my car keys and I walked out of my house. I left a 10-year-old in a wheelchair crying in my kitchen because I lost at charades. Now, I wasn't gone but 30 seconds before I gathered myself and said, Carol, you need to get back in there. But it taught me an important lesson. I need strategies other than just playing charades all day. A couple of the strategies we added after that were we always had a whiteboard handy, and we also bought a picture dictionary. Those two simple tools helped us get beyond charades and adding visual support to our communication. Now, the next thing, that was my big fail, but I learned from it. So here's one of my best successes when I feel I pass. So it was towards Thanksgiving, and I decided that I was going to have people over. So we talked earlier about having a plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So I created a plan because I wanted this to be accessible to David and his aphasia. So what we did is we had fewer people. I had it catered just by picking up food at the caterer and bringing it to my house. I made sure we had no music. I gave people a start and an end time. So I basically told them, if you're coming, you're out of my house in 2 or 3 hours. I found a quiet spot for David, and I told him that if it felt too overwhelming, he could go to another space. And everyone who was invited to my house was educated about aphasia for that Thanksgiving dinner. Now, what I could have done is I could have had a big and noisy crowd. I could cook because I can do it all. I should do it all, right? I should, maybe not. I could have had the music on and the TV on, and I could have expected David to socialize. I could have said, David, you haven't seen these people in a long time. So be sure to tell them, how are you doing? Let them know about your stroke. Tell them about your stroke and aphasia. I could have put lots of pressure on David. And we know what happens to people with aphasia when they're under pressure. Their speech gets worse. And I could have not informed my guest about anything about aphasia. That would have been a big fail. And remember, we talked about caregiver or care partner. Well, if your loved one is your partner and you're doing something like a Thanksgiving dinner or a birthday party, your partner can help decide on the time or how long the party should be. Don't assume that your loved one wants a noisy party with 4 or 5 hours. Most likely they want a quiet party that's 1 or 2 hours. Let your loved one help decide on the guest list. They're your partner. Don't take everything as your decision. Make it our decision. You're partners, right? And also have your partner help. Maybe they can set the table, fold the napkins, dust the coffee table. So it becomes a partnership as you move forward in life with aphasia. And it all starts with baby steps. So next, I'm going to share some resources, and then we're going to jump into the Q&A. Resources for people that are dealing with aphasia as a care partner are really, really, really important. And I'm so glad that you joined this Ask the Expert so that you can really show, I mean, you're committed to this journey. So many people don't take the time to learn and go to this type of webinar, but you did. So thank you so much for that. So some of the resources I think you might be interested in. Well, you all know the National Aphasia Association because this seminar is put on by the NAA. One of the great things that they have on their website that I want all of you to check. So if you're writing down, write this one down. Go to the NAA site, click on the Find Support tab at the top. And at the bottom, you can ask what you're searching for, but you can also just punch in your zip code and search. See what is available in your area. Maybe there's a support group you didn't know about. Maybe there's a therapist doing teletherapy you didn't know about. Check on the NAA site. They have affiliates of the NAA, of which the Aphasia Recovery Connection is one of them. There are affiliates all across the country. The NAA is doing wonderful work. Check out their site, check out their resources, and find support right here on the NAA. Here is their website. if you haven't seen it. Then another resource is the Aphasia Recovery Connection. So we talked a lot about learning strategies. One of the things that Aphasia Recovery Connection does is every single month, we have a speech and language pathologist teach a session called Friends and Family Informational Sessions. It's not a support group or a place where you vent and everybody just tells their story. That is not what this is. This session is where you learn communication strategies to help avoid those communication breakdowns, like the one that I had when I grabbed my car keys and walked out the door. Have you ever had those moments? Could you learn aphasia strategies? Are there things that would really decrease the frustration in your home? So check out the informational sessions that we do with ARC. We do them once a month. One of the other best kept secrets of Aphasia Recovery Connection is we have a huge Facebook presence. But what some people don't know is we have a group just for caregivers, care partners. See, even I said that wrong. A group for care partners. So why join a Facebook group? This group has over 3,500 members. There are care partners and therapists. You can ask questions. I often say, if you had a bad day, you may need us. And if you had a good day, we might need you, because we're all in it together. It's really a community of care partners. So here's a couple examples of things that were on that care partner site this week. One was, do you have a sense of overwhelm? And care partners could write below and share their stories and what they were feeling overwhelmed about. The second one says, how do you keep a schedule for your loved one? So on this one, people from around the country typed and wrote what's working for them in their home. So you can post a question, you can see what people are writing. This is a great way to learn how to better manage aphasia in your home. And that is our website, aphasiarecoveryconnection.org. Another resource is the Aphasia Institute up in Toronto. And there's a couple things I wanted to point out that you can get from them for free. One is they have a yes, no, wrong track card that you can download. And they also have a family pamphlet. So the pamphlet is designed for people early on their aphasia journey, and it gives practical tips on how to better communicate with your loved one. And their website is this, aphasia.ca. It's in Canada. Now, I bet you're surprised at this one. And you're all like, oh, Amazon, I love Amazon. I do too. Okay, let's talk about what a great resource Amazon is for care partners. So I told you that we bought the Oxford Picture Dictionary for David. This is a great resource. If you're tired of playing charades, get an Oxford Picture Dictionary so that you can find things and they can practice writing. You can work with them together. This is to me, this is a must-have for every family dealing with aphasia. You can also type in on Amazon, I want a communication board or a communication booklet. There are tons of them. Find one that works for you. Now, one of the things you can do on Amazon too is, if you're not sure, buy a couple of them and just make sure that you buy ones that say free return. Buy a couple of them and then show your loved one, let them pick the one they want and return the other one. It's a great way to support their communication needs. And often they need us to help them with that. Having a whiteboard is fabulous. Many care partners actually have calendars that You can draw, you can share information on that big whiteboard. So often, if we just say to our loved one, oh, we're going to go to the doctor's at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, it's like, what? So if you have it on a calendar, you can show the Wednesday, you can draw a little doctor, you can draw the 3 o'clock. So whiteboards are great resources for families dealing with aphasia. So lastly, we're just going to review. So here's some things I want you to say with me. I know you're muted, but we're going to say them together anyway. I can plan my work and work my plan. Yes, you can. I can be more organized. Yes, you can. I can commit to learning strategies to reduce stress for both of us. Yes, you can. I can get rid of the shoulds because life is different now. Yes, you can. I can prioritize tasks, and that also includes my own self-care. Yes, yes, you can. I can see my partner as a partner, not a patient. Yes, you can. I can expect my partner to gain independence and help when they can. Yes, you can. Yes, they can. I can ask for help from friends, from family, from neighbors, from coworkers, from my community, and from my loved one. I can ask for help. Yes, you can. So we're about ready to wrap up and jump into question and answers. My name is Carol Dow-Richards with the Aphasia Recovery Connection. We are a nonprofit organization that we started to end the isolation of aphasia. Here is the email, and there is the website. If you want to take that strategy class, you can sign up for our newsletter, and you can get that information through email. The last thing I'm going to share is something I kept on my bathroom mirror when my caregiving journey was at its worst. And this is what I had on a Post-it note for years, and I'll share it with you now. When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But we often look so long at the door that closed that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. And that is a quote from Helen Keller. So no matter how life goes, life does go on. We have a choice of how we react to the challenges we face. Hold on, hang on, grab a lifeline of support, move forward. You've got this.
Thank you so much, Carol, for your wisdom and that positive outlook on what is certainly a challenging experience that many and role that many find themselves in. And thank you so much for sharing all those great resources. There are, you mentioned the affiliates of the National Aphasia Association, I think, and you're one of them. It's this wonderful network of people throughout the country, the world, who provide services, resources, online, in person, support, education for the aphasia community. So there's so many wonderful resources out there. So we would love to get to a few questions with the time we have left, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. Carol, what recommendations would you give to clinicians to help reduce care partner stress?
That is a great question. And I think it's really, really an important one. I think that every clinician should, I'm going to actually say must, give care partners some resources. or give the resources to the person with aphasia. Too many people are telling us that they leave therapy and they feel like they were dropped off a cliff. So I think sharing with them, like what I just shared with you, the support on the NAA. So pull that up on your computer and show them how they can find resources in their area or support groups in that area. Share with them, share with care partners, the care partners site, find training for them, whether that training is with the Aphasia Recovery Connection and what we do monthly, or there's handouts. Ash actually has a great handout on communication tips that it's as simple as a speech pathologist downloading that from the NAA, printing out 10 or 15 of them and handing it to people. So often I'm hearing that people aren't getting resources. And I think it's really, really important that speech and language pathologists really have to see their role, not only in delivering therapy, but delivering to the holistic whole being of what this person needs, because it's a whole big thing. It's not just practicing the speech. And I think that's really, 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 really important.
Mhm.
Very. Did I say must? I think I said must. But I think most care partners and people with aphasia would agree with that. They need more resources.
Mhm.
And they are so overwhelmed. They don't know where to get them. They don't know how to get them. But it's easy for somebody like me or a speech therapist to say, hey, let me share, even if you just share one resource, one a week, just share resources.
Mhm.
Yeah. Give them a lifeline, because otherwise they're drowning. Just drowning. Don't leave people playing charades. You saw what happened to David and I. I grabbed my car keys.
Great. That's great advice. We had a great question from some people with aphasia, and they are asking, what can we do as people with aphasia to help our care partner manage their stress?
That's a great question. I think one of the things that I've noticed when I've talked to care partners is so often they really miss you in that relationship, because we allow it to become patient and caregiver. So I would say one of the things that you can do as a person with aphasia is you too focus on the partnership. What can you do to help, both emotionally and physically? So a couple examples is maybe it's as simple as setting a goal to say, I love you. And if you can't say it, we all know that gestures and hugs, you can show it. And also showing appreciation to your loved one. Sometimes care partners have shared simple thank you cards that a person with aphasia picked up and wrote a thank you, or just drew a heart in the thank you card. That means a lot to care partners. So don't forget that your loved one is going through a lot too. It's tough on both of you. And I so wish I had a magic wand. I think it was Winston Churchill who once said, there's only one way through hell, and that's through. This is tough and we have to get through it. But I love that people with aphasia are asking, how can I support my care partner? That is very, very heartwarming.
And you have been a care partner for quite some time. Can you speak at all to that, how that experience has changed over the years?
I would say in the first few years, I was nothing but a care partner. I actually felt I wasn't much of a wife to my husband. I wasn't much of a mother to my older son, Mike, because David's stroke was pretty massive and all encompassing. And he went to speech therapy every day for years. You know, back in 1995, people could get speech therapy every day. Things have so changed. But through time, and luckily for David, when he went through puberty, he was also at a special school that had a lot of speech therapy and very small classes. And so he really, really has made a huge improvement. And so today, David lives alone with his partner. He travels, he lives an independent life. He still has a lot of health issues because his stroke came from a disease called Moyamoya disease. So he still has a lot of issues, but I no longer have that full-time role as care partner. Although he still has me go to every single doctor's appointment with him, everyone. I don't think I've ever missed one. So I was like, Mom.
Partners for better or for worse. I know that the caregiver or care partner experience is not necessarily universal, but some people are curious to hear specifically for you, what are some things specifically you've done to take care of yourself and manage stress? Including, we have a comment or a question from Darlene Williamson, who's the president of the NAA, wondering what you're doing for the Audrey Holland Wellness Challenge.
um, to the first question, now I've already lost my train of thought because you gave me two questions at one time.
So,
What was the
self-care
first
can
question?
mean something different for everyone, but what's something that you do for your own self-care and managing your stress?
Uh, Especially in the beginning, I was lucky. I had a girlfriend who also had a husband with a traumatic brain injury. And we became very close and we would call each other. And this sounds so silly, but this is what we did. She'd say, okay, it's my turn to go first. I'll take the first 10 minutes and then you go. Because sometimes just venting to somebody else who maybe has walked in those shoes, it is a big deal. And I think that's one of the things on our care partner site. On the Facebook care partner site, it's not a site for people with aphasia, and it allows care partners not only that education where we can support each other, but sometimes when you've had a bad day, sometimes you just need to vent. And you certainly aren't going to vent to your loved one. They're dealing with enough. But sometimes it just is cathartic to let it out and just say, I am so overwhelmed today. Like that doctor was just horrible. Like he talked to me like my loved one wasn't there. And why doesn't the doctor know more about aphasia? And, whatever it is. And we just get so wound up sometimes and we just want to vent. And so I think for me, that's been one of the best things to keep my own emotional health good. And I do have the kind of personality, it's probably most people have already noticed. I can get I can get my dander up. So when I get upset about like doctors not looking at a patient, because I've lived with that with David, like I try to advocate and say, don't do that. And this is another tip that I would give care partners, because this happens a lot. So let's say, for example, I'm gonna get two pencils. So here's the care partner and here's the person with aphasia. And the doctor is talking to you, the care partner. And this person is becoming invisible because he's talking to you. And we leave that office and we complain about it. Like the doctor acted like my loved one wasn't there. And definitely the person with aphasia is complaining like, I feel invisible. Why doesn't the doctor talk to me? One of my best care partner tips is when you go to the doctor, don't look at the doctor. Change your focus to look at the person with aphasia. Because now when the doctor's talking and I'm looking at the person with aphasia, who does the doctor have to look at? the person with aphasia. There are so many little tips and tricks that we learn along the way. And that's why it's so important. Care partners, that stick together, that share our stories. I know the National Aphasia Association also has a place where they keep stories on. I think somebody posted it in the chat. There's so many great resources and resources that weren't there when I started this journey. Back in 1995, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a computer. And if it wasn't for the NAA, that's really where I started to get connected. And I met Martha Taylor Sarno, and used to go to all of the NAA conferences. And I'm hoping that the NAA will be bringing those back soon, because they did such a great job on conferences and bringing people together. But and then as far as the Audrey Holland Challenge, wow, that's a big one. I would say probably, I had some knee surgery, so I'm slowly getting back to riding my bike, and I'm aiming to get more fresh air every day. So
Great. And I think I saw in the chat someone shared the link for the challenge if folks missed that and want to participate and share something that they're doing for themselves, for their own wellness. And we have reached the end of our webinar. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions in advance and during the presentation. I know we didn't get to all the questions, but we really appreciate hearing your thoughts, and we always think about those as we come up with new topics for these webinars and think about resources that are needed. So if you would like some more information on the Aphasia Recovery Connection, you can visit aphasia-recovery-connection.org. For more information about the National Aphasia Association, visit us at aphasia.org. We have a number of virtual events scheduled throughout the month that are open to people with aphasia, their families, and clinicians, and you can find that information at aphasia.org/online-events. In December, we'll be having a special event in lieu of Ask the Expert, where we'll be presenting our advocacy award. So more details will be shared soon about that. And then Ask the Expert will return in 2024 with an exciting lineup of experts and topics. And in fact, we want to hear from you about what topics you would be interested in learning more about and which experts you'd like to hear from. So a link to a suggestion form will be shared in an upcoming National Aphasia Association newsletter. So keep your eye out for that. And the National Aphasia Association's website is going to be updated. And so that you'll see that. Yeah, very exciting. You'll see that next week. Finally, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions about Ask the Expert, you can email me at catherine@aphasia.org. So thank you all for spending some time with us tonight. We hope to see you next time, and thank you and have a wonderful evening. Bye.
stay strong, everybody. You've got this. Bye-bye.